Hello fellas, welcome to episode 2 where we are going to drop some flaps, do some assembly and make everything nice and smooth. To prepare the cockpit for installation, I had to remove some plastic. The tools and materials I use in this video will be linked in the description below. After this manipulation, the cockpit top went in without issues. The fuselage halves of my kit were bended, so I had to be extra careful when assembling them. To avoid issues, I glued the central part and then to the front and to the rear. As I had the wings still out of the way, I decided to scribe some panel lines. To guide my scriber, I used vinyl tape. Then I installed the intakes. And then, using Mr. Surfacer 500, I filled unwanted panel lines and seams. To sand the filler and the ridges created by the scriber, I used 320 grit sandpaper. Of course, that filled up the panel lines. I cleaned the majority of the dust with the scriber, and then I used Mr. Cementes to melt down what's left. To avoid having a tail seater, I filled the nose cone with lead and secured it with some PVA glue. Next, I mounted the nose cone. I will replace the pitot tube with something more suitable in the next episode. The wing assembly is quite straightforward. To spice things up, I decided to move the ailerons and deploy the flaps. The cutting was done using microsaws and number 12 scalpel blade. Since the flaps are not meant to be positioned in that way, some gaps emerged. I filled those with plastic strips and liquid cement. The excess material I trimmed using small scissors, scalpel blade and sandpaper. The wings assembly did not fit very well to the fuselage, so I had to do some adjustments using plastic stock. When I was satisfied with the fit, I glued everything together. I decided to go with closed air brakes, but unfortunately I did not pay attention to the fit until it was too late. So instead of adding a few shims of plastic beforehand and getting a flush fit, I ended up spending much more time fixing the poor joint. Some other areas needed attention too. You can see how I make my own black CA glue in the video linked above. For final layer I used Mr. Surfacer 500. Of course, final is very optimistic, but we will see what will happen after the priming stage. After I was happy with the wing root joint, I scribed more panel lines. I also added some rivet detail. Moving on to the cannon, first I drilled the muzzle and then glued it in place. To make the burner can and nozzle more appealing, first I removed the kit afterburner petals. Then I reduced the thickness of the remaining part. Next I glued that to the photo etch burner can. Next I assembled the photo etch nozzle. After painting the kit fan blades black, I installed the photo etch flame holder. Then I superglued it to the burner can assembly. Finally, I trimmed the piece a little and glued it in place. I will paint the nozzle separately, but here is how it looks on the model. Subscribe and stay tuned, because in the next episode we are going to add small details, make cool lights, and employ awesome material. Until then, check out my other series. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy modeling!